Hi everyone, in Intro to Computer Art class. We just want to create a quick recording to take you through the Warhol project. Some of you have been having trouble with that, and I think partly you're making it harder than it needs to be. So let me show you a couple of quick tips here, and I'm sorry if you were confused. So let's find an image. I'm just going to go out on the internet and, in the spirit of Andy Warhol, pick up a cultural icon. I could have chosen George Bush, but I think I'll do a search in Google Images for Barack Obama. Okay, so click Images. I typed Obama in the search engine and it brought up a bunch of files. I click the file, and then if the image doesn't come up full size, I can always click See Full Size Image. Once I have an image, I want to right click on it, and I have a choice of either saving the image right now or copying it, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to copy it as is. Don't need to put more stuff on my hard drive, and get rid of the... So I right clicked on the picture and then left clicked copy image. Now in Photoshop I want to say File, New, and say OK to that, and the size this turns out to be is exactly what's in memory, which is the size of the Obama portrait. And then Edit Paste, or Control V. Edit Paste. There it is. We own the portrait now for us to mess with and jam with, do anything I want to. Okay. It's on its own layer, its own separate layer, and if I want to see layers, I always go up to Window and then Show Layers here. Just make a click next to that. So the background layer was white because I said File, New, and when I paste anything in from memory, it creates a new layer. I can leave it this way, I can flatten it down. When I want to flatten it, I say Layer, Flatten Image, which is just off the screen here, and now I have one background layer. Okay, so far so good. I'm going to minimize this, and it's put back into the dock here in CS3. Notice that I have a background. I chose this one because the background is pretty simple, and that will allow me to do some color fills more quickly. And so I'm going to select this using the Magic Wand tool, and notice that I have the tolerance set to 32. Magic Wand tool is right under the Move tool, and I'm going to click on the background. And notice it didn't grab everything. It didn't grab this section. So if I hold down Shift and click again, that gives me everything. And let's see. Normally, if I had this on its own layer, I could just hit the Delete key. Oh, it worked anyway, and delete that away. It, in fact, deleted it to the white background here, whatever's in the background color. Alright, now deselect, which is select, deselect, or Control D. Next I want to make this into a Silkscreen black and white image before color, so I'm going to say Image, and then Adjustments, and then Threshold. This is a really cool way to bitmap an image, and bitmap just refers to it being solid black or solid white. What I like about this method is we have in Threshold a slider, so I can adjust the range of tones between all the way black and all the way white and everything in between. Okay, so I'm going to just, for the sake of simplicity, I'm going to fill in the outline around the edge of his face here and say OK to that. Okay, now I can just use the paint bucket and dump some fills in here. Now, the paint bucket works by filling the foreground color. Whatever is in the foreground is what the paint bucket dumps. And remember that ad that's on TV now about a girl that's flinging paint all around, and that's basically what we're going to do. I'm just going to open a can of paint and dump it. So I put, by clicking on the foreground color and then clicking on the color dialog box, I created solid red. Grab the paint bucket tool. Now when I click on an area, what happens is that the color follows the area like water until it hits a little wall of pixels. If there's no wall, the color will keep flowing. And notice that right here along his shoulder there was an opening in the levee, and we had a little New Orleans thing going on here. So when you want to undo something, you can say Edit Undo or Control Z, and I can just zoom in on this spot and dam up the wall. I'm going to grab a brush tool and put black in the foreground by clicking the Revert button down here in the lower left, and I'm using a shortcut to choose a brush size, but you can also do that up here in the brush dialog. I want to make the hardness 100%, and then click away from the document, make the brush size smaller, and then just fill in these pixels right in here. Okay, now I'm using shortcuts for zooming. Control 0 zooms me out, and now if I take the paint bucket and bucket the background, oops, Control Z that one, I would need to get my red color again, so click on the foreground color. I'm picking red, upper right corner, say OK, get the bucket and dump it in, and bingo. Notice that because I closed off that little area, the red didn't flow into a shirt this time. Another way of controlling where you're doing your fills, and this is in keeping with the spirit of Silkscreen, is you can use a Lasso Tool. I'm going to zoom in on this spot here, and because there's some openings in the neck, I could also use the pen and zoom right in and clean that up that way, or I could just take the Lasso Tool and lasso through here, just keeping it kind of rough basically because Silkscreen doesn't always register properly. Okay, and then let's click a new color here, and I could do something crazy like yellow or anything, and get my bucket out again. And now that this area has been constrained with a selection, the pixels can't flow any further than what you've selected. I haven't feathered it, I haven't done anything, I've just filled it. Control 0 zooms out again. Alright, so I can just go along and keep coloring away to my heart's content with combinations of techniques of using the Lasso Tool. Bright blue shirt, that's a little crazy here, and so on. So one more here, try to go for semi-approximation of his flesh color, although it's never going to be good, and we're not trying to be realistic here. And fill that in, and you get the idea. You can undo things with Control Z, etc. Now, if you had layers, when you save this, you have to first layer flatten image all the way at the bottom again. And once it's flat, file save as, and make sure it's a JPEG. Okay, name it BARAC. Okay, and put it in a folder where you can find it so that you can browse to that folder to upload it onto the photo thing, and also to your, if you're going to post it onto the blog. And that's it. Play this back and forth a few times if you don't get it, but they're just a few steps, and I think my technique is a lot easier than the link I sent you to. And we'll see you in the next movie. Take care.